welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB. Today in the arena, I'm back, baby. Of course, it doesn't feel like you missed a day, you know, if you've been following along with the videos. Shout out to everybody who's been watching the videos while I'm away. You're the real ones. If you haven't missed a video, the whole time I've been gone, you know, leave a comment. Let me know. I want to know who the real ones are, who's actually been staying till the end all this time. But I'm back in the recording studio, and things happened while I was gone that went from rumor to straight up factual fact to full spoilage to full release, all in the 10 days that I was in super sunny Florida. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about the release, and today we're going to focus on the Explorer Anthology 1 bundle. Now, it's incredibly hard to answer the question, should you buy the Explorer Anthology 1 bundle? 25,000 gold, 4,000 gems. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's very, very unclear, really, honestly, what your budget is and what your playstyles are. Because whether or not you should buy the bundles always depends. It depends on how many of the cards you're going to play. Sounds easy and obvious enough, but it's true. If you are a deck hopper, and these are the formats you like to hop decks in, I think that these cards will really be a good value for you. If you are a player who plays 1 or 2 decks in a given format, you should probably just craft the cards that you want the most. And if you're a Historic Brawl player, you only need 1 of each card, so buying the bundle is kind of silly. But we are going to go through them, and since I can't really tell you whether or not you should buy the bundle, we're just going to reacties. We're going to make reaction content as I'm like, oh my god, this card, this card in Brawl, that card in Historic, this card in Explorer. Oh, you know, reaction content's the future, and people who don't do it, quite frankly, gameplay, come on. Are you scared to just sit here talking about nothing and call it a career? Are you a coward? So yeah, no gameplay, but we are going to talk about these and possibly look forward to some future gameplay. Should you buy the Explorer Anthology bundle? I don't know, but I'm doing it. Get that cathartic release as I throw gems and light them on fire. And then we'll go through and we'll talk about all the cards in a minute. A few things about Explorer as we dive into this. Obviously, these bundles are themed. This is the Explorer bundle. There's another Historic bundle, but it's worth noting that all these cards go into Historic Brawl, and all of these cards go into Historic as well. So Historic is getting the largest injection of cards out of all of this. It's not as large as the Jumpstart Historic Horizons, whatever that was last year, which was like an insane amount of cards. I think it was between 300 and 400 cards. But these are all designed to have impact on the format, and therefore probably will. So let's start the video with a short review of what's going on in Explorer. I am not by any means the full Explorer expert, but I do watch a lot of it. I watch a lot of other content creators, and I stay tuned to all of the tournament results. I listen to podcasts. I'm probably more in touch than the average Magic player, but less than the person who's playing the format all the time, if that makes sense. So first of all, Explorer, as we've discussed in the past, is designed to eventually become Pioneer. So what they should be doing, or what people feel they should be doing with these bundles, is releasing cards that move us closer to the Pioneer metagame. So the Pioneer metagame, as we are recording this right now, has Rakdos midrange, according to MTG Goldfish, Rakdos midrange at 15% of meta, Izzet Phoenix at 12%, Azorius Control at 10%, Mono Green at 9%, Mono Green kind of Devotion ramp deck, Boros Aggro at 7%, Rakdos Sacrifice at 5%, and going on down. So the big players in Pioneer are honestly pretty well represented on Arena, and they're only missing a few cards here and there, so you could really bring a lot of the meta up to date with just a few cards, which hopefully is what they're going for here. A big exception there is the Lotus Field combo deck. That pile still feels like it's a little ways away. We'll see if it has any toys here, but its play rate has gone down, possibly because people find it obnoxious. Also, how is this going to shift the Explorer metagame on MTG Arena is a good question. Let's have some stats from MTGA Assistant on that front. So, Explorer meta in best of one right now has mono red at 15% of meta. Somebody's got to take them down a peg. What do you guys think? Is that the job for the one in best of one? Selesnya life gain? Humans? I have all the cards. Nice. That's at 14% of the meta. Mardu, that would be the greased fangy nonsense at 7%. Mono red burn version looks like slightly higher win rate, but at 4% of meta. Interesting number there. And Esper, you know, just good old Espery. I think this is also Grease Fang, to be honest. I think they're both Grease Fang decks. Last I knew, about, 3.5% mono blue. Rakdos, all the way down here at 3% in best of one. When you switch to best of three, for those of you being like, where's Rakdos? Oh, wait, it's 19% of the best of three meta. Holy guacamole. By having slightly better win rates at lower meta percentages are Mono Blue, Azorius Control, and Mardu Greasefang. So, also some Abzan. There's stuff. Anyway, you got MTGA Assistant by now, right? You've seen the ads, right? You can just go over here to this sweet little tab on the launch screen and go click on the deck of your choice, right? I'm sure you do. So that's where the meta is right now. Let's see how these cards impact it, and let's go right down the line. Alesha, who smiles at death. 2 in red for a 3/2 for striker. When it attacks, you may pay the hybrid Orzovs. If you do, return a card power 2 or less from graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. First of all, reading cards on screen without actually playing Magic feels so freaking good. I'm diverting a little, but I miss having a podcast to just talk about what's going on Arena. So you get these talkie videos. I hope you enjoy them. I know you love gameplay. I'm not trying to eliminate gameplay from the channel, but it's nice to be able to talk to you guys from time to time and do some reaction. Anyway, this card, this is an interesting one. I am not sure what deck in Pioneer this card is trying to represent. I honestly can't think of one. It doesn't get back Greasefang. Doesn't get back, like, I mean, you can go down the list of things it doesn't get back, but I thought maybe some kind of a Greasefang synergy, but no. I think that this card is mostly included for Historic Brawl, and I am curious because it's weird to start off in this spot, but if you know what deck in Pioneer Alesha, who smiles at death, is trying to buff and why it's in this bundle, please let me know. I now own 4 of them, but I think one of them for Historic Brawl is probably what you're looking for, as it's a pretty sweet Mardu commander. It's aggressive but has value baked into the command zone, and there aren't many Mardu commanders for Historic Brawl. Extus is about it, and that really requires a sacrifice deck. So I think Alesha is going to be good for the Mardu commander fans. Back to nature. 1 in a green, destroy all enchantments. Important sideboard tech, very important. Auras in Historic and not so much in Pioneer at all, or Explorer, but every now and then, like the main thing missing there is Core Spirit Dancer, right? That deck in Historic needed a little bit of a nerf, so I think this is mostly for Historic, although maybe they're afraid of Shrines taking over. And now that they introduced a Shrine Commander, this might be an important card for Historic Brawl too, but not really here, I think, to have a huge impact on the metagame for Explorer. Battle-wise Hoplite. All right, the first of our heroic cards, and there's a couple of these trying to reintroduce heroic to the format. This one is Azorius in nature, and it's a 2/2. Whenever you cast a spell that targets the Hoplite, put a counter on the Hoplite, then scry 1. Some of you fans of Theros, if you played that long ago, are going to remember cards like this and favored Hoplite that we're going to get to, and it's more of a similar, almost aura-ish kind of strategy. They did run some auras in the deck. Not sure how that will pan out, as it's not a huge part of the Explorer metagame most of the time. So I think we're trying to introduce kind of a Voltron-y strategy to the format, and an auras type experience, but for this format. And Battle-wise Hoplite's going to try to do the job. Darksteel Citadel. There are numerous fun things to do with this artifact land that has indestructible and taps for colorless. One of them is coming right up. I can kind of see it hiding over here, so we'll get to that. But another interesting thing about this land is you can turn it into a creature with Tezzeret, the one from Kamigawa. So transforming this into a 4/4 indestructible sounds pretty juicy to me. Is there enough for like an affinity artifacts type deck? There's probably something, but as of right right now, it's still to be explored. If you're excited about running with scissors, we're going to get to that card in just a minute, and you'll see what I mean about pushing this artifact theme. So, Elvish Mystic, this is a big one, and it is a common, so you can spend pretty easy wild cards on what is arguably the most impactful card in the entire anthology. That's pretty cool. This card is going to be a staple in all of the historic Brawl decks that play green, no question about it. It's Llanowar Elves 2.0. To anybody who didn't know that or hasn't seen it before, you're like, why is this so exciting? Well, when you have 8 Llanowar Elves in a deck, you kind of can just skip turn 2 in the curve altogether and just play powerful 3s and 4s, and that gives green a huge advantage, and that's why there's a mono green ramp style strategy deck that is very, very popular in Pioneer. Now that deck requires Nykthos, which is a land that makes mana equal to your devotion to green, and we don't have that yet, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of stompy or monsters, decks with 4 Elvish Mystic and 4 Llanowar Elves look like. A lot of turn 2 Steel Leaf Paladins coming at you. What other creatures will fill out that curve and make that deck tick? Next up, we're going to talk about Ensoul Artifact. This is the aura that you can throw on your Darksteel Citadel to turn it into a 5/5 indestructible creature and just start swinging with it. This combination of cards did win a Pro Tour. I believe it was Mike Sigrist back in the day. I think it might have been Pro Tour 2015. I might be wrong about exactly which set it was. But anyway, Ensoul Artifact animating Darksteel Citadel is a cool combo that will have to be explored in Explorer. And it does have a few more friends along the way, like Hangerback Walker, but all of the cards that you've seen in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty that really key off artifacts can get tested alongside Ensoul Artifact, which is a really cool aura for that particular type of deck. Then we've got Favored Hoplite. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, put a counter on it, prevent all damage that would be dealt to it this turn. Really another very good kind of Boggles-ish strategy. Also looking forward to trying cards like Favored Hoplite alongside Illuminator Virtuoso to end games insanely fast. These all-in on 1 or 2 creature strategies are pretty vulnerable to removal, and with Rakdos near the top of the meta, especially in best of 3, they're going to have a hard time. But it's kind of cool to see them here, and as you can see here, they're uncommons, so they're pretty easy cards to get into to fill out a deck. Hangerback Walker is a sick rare. I'm pretty happy to have these. And this is a card I played a lot of back in its day. People who know Hangerback, love Hangerback, remember Hangerback. This is an XX00. And when it enters the battlefield with X counters on it, whenever it dies, you make a 1/1 colorless Thopter with flying for each counter on the walker. So it's a huge mana sink. It also has one more ability. For 1 and a tap, you can put another counter on it. So you play it out as just a 1/1, and then 1 mana a turn can keep growing it. You can put 4 mana into it, you can play it out as a 2/2 if you want, etc. So it does scale with the game. It's definitely slow at this stage on its own. Like, strictly on its own, this card is outmoded in Historic, and it's outmoded in Pioneer and Explorer, but with a little bit of, synergy, some Ensoul Artifact or more popular artifact synergies. Hangerback Walker showed in the past in Standard that it can be a threat, and there is a huge artifact set coming at the end of this year, the Brothers' War, historically very artifact themed, so Hangerback Walker could turn into a player. It's also a pretty sick artifact creature that fits well into sacrifice strategies, also can fit into almost, it can fit into like every deck. If you have one of these, you can put it in every Historic Brawl deck you have, just cause. I mean, it's a solid card. So look forward to playing with Hangerback Walker. All right, we're getting off the page. Do I hit more? Am I gonna get to talk about Kalitas? I'm just gonna talk about Kalitas. Kalitas? Kalitas? Is it Southern? Is it Kalitas? Here's Kalitas, the trader we get. Anyway, that was like a Larry the Cable Guy Southern. Don't take that too personally if you're in Texas or something like that. Kalitas is how I was taught to say it. Kalitas is how I've heard it said. 2 black 3/4 Vampire Warrior lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead, create a 2/2 zombie. 2 and a black, sacrifice this. Sacrifice a vampire or zombie, another vampire or zombie. Put 2 counters on Kalitas. Anyway, What a cool vampire. Really good in the Sorin Vampire tribe decks for sure to have another great hit at an interesting rate. The abilities are more impactful than people give them credit for. This card can stabilize the battlefield. If you pair it with a removal spell and you get a zombie right away while exiling something from the battlefield, you got good value. If the card sticks around for a few turns and you make multiple zombies and start sacrificing them to make this thing huge, it can just take over games. Is it still Pioneer good? The card is seeing play in Pioneer, so I think the answer to that at the higher level is yes. Is it going to fit in Historic? I don't know. Historic Brawl, definitely going to be sweet to have this sweet vampire that can be a commander or fit into so many vampire related decks. So it's a home run at Mythic in a couple of formats. Do you need 4 of them from the bundle? Probably not. 1 or 2 should suffice. It's a very good sideboard card as well for a number of matchups. I think you'll see this in Explorer quite a bit. I'm not as sure about Historic, but it wouldn't surprise me as the vampire deck there is pretty good. And in Historic Brawl, you'll definitely see plenty of the Traitor of Get. Rally the Ancestors. Rally was once upon a time a great standard deck. Do we have the tools to make this thing good currently? I'm honestly not sure. Returning each creature card with mana value X or less from graveyard to the battlefield, exile them at the beginning of the next upkeep. Where does this fit? It's great for the brewers, as if you want to brew new cards, try new cards, Rally is for you. Searing Blood, the burn decks love it. 2 damage to a creature. If the creature dies, 3 damage to its controller. Often burn spells have to choose. Do you target the creature? Do you target the player? Searing Blood says you don't have to choose. It's amazing. It'll be very popular in the burn decks of the format. Shadowborn Apostle, a bit of a meme. I mean, this is one of those cards that you can have any number of, and then you can sacrifice 6 of them to go get a demon. Probably never gonna be a hit anywhere outside of Historic Brawl. I think people have tried to make decks with this and I've never seen it pop off, but in Historic Brawl there's always people who want to try building with a whole bunch of those persistent petitioners and whatever rats they are. They're going to enjoy Shadowborn Apostle, which I think is better than persistent petitioners or the rats, to be honest. Being able to search up any demon, maybe there are certain demons that can completely end the game when combined with a certain commander, makes you want to build this deck. Siege Rhino. Once upon a time, this was the big bad of Magic the Gathering, the master, and people keep trying to make it good again, which shows you how much they beloved the card and that time period in Magic when it was a 6 standard format. I mean, Siege Rhino is pretty outmoded at this day and age, but people are going to try again. They've tried in Pioneer, they will try in Explorer. Is this the format where Siege Rhino can shine? Probably not. I'm just letting you know, probably not. I think that everything else can grind better, and Rakdos is probably a better grinding deck than Abzan at this point. But a 4/5 that has trample, enters the battlefield, you gain 3, they drain 3. What a treat. You know what this requires? Yeah, you do. Yorion. Slaughter Games. 2 and a black-red for a can't-be-countered sorcery. Choose a non-land card. Search the opponent's graveyard, hand, library. Right number of cards with the same name, exile them, then shuffle. Nice. So you get to just suck a certain card completely out of the opponent's deck. This would have been really helpful around the time Alrund's Epiphany was a problem. Emergent Ultimatum in Historic is still a problem. It's good to have these cards in formats. They'll come up here and there. 4 of them, probably a mistake. 1 or 2 of them, probably a good call. Supreme Verdict, the best board wipe now for Explorer. Historic had Wrath of God and Day of Judgment. This was like a little bit of an upgrade on those, not a huge one, but in Explorer it's a much bigger deal, as mono blue is a big deal. Countering board wipes is a serious problem. For Supreme Verdicts, for the true blue-white masters of Explorer, is going to be a must, and it's going to be awesome as another sweet board wipe for blue-white in Historic Brawl. That's going to make people very salty. And you know what? Historic's going to play it too. They're all going to enjoy Supreme Verdict. It's a staple. It's a good rare. It's a good one to have 4 of. Tainted Remedy. If an opponent would gain life, that player loses that much life instead. Ah, finally. Finally, guys. We have the solution to those frickin' Ajani's Primate decks. Shove it, Soul Sisters. Teamer Battle Rage. 1 and a red for an instant. Target creature gains double strike. Ferocious. It gains trample as well. if its power is 4 or greater. This was part of an absolutely killer Atarka red deck back in Standard, and it's shown up here and there with Death's Shadow. So the Death Shadow deck in Historic, I think, is really going to enjoy the printing of this. In Explorer, I don't know, maybe some of those heroic decks are going to enjoy it, but it is a common and a pretty good one to get into. Tireless Tracker, another boomer card for sure. This card has survived after being an all-star in Standard. It survived in Modern because of fetch lands. While we have Fabled Passage, we don't really have a ton of fetch lands that we want to play. Like the tapped fetch lands, I do not count. So Tireless Tracker in Explorer and Tireless Tracker in Pioneer is not nearly as exciting as it is in a place like Modern or like it was in Standard back in the day. But this is 100%, I'm going to craft. You should probably craft one if you play any Historic Brawl and green, because this can go in every single green deck as just a solid threat and value card. And it'll probably find some home that likes it a little bit more than others, maybe a humans-based tribal deck in Explorer. All right, that concludes my little just off-the-cuff, good for fun, warming it back up, Reacty Andy review of the Explorer bundle that came out while I was away. Many of you have probably already bought it or not. Many of you have played with it or not. Let me know in the comments. Did you buy it? Did you play with it? What's good? What am I missing? Because there's a few cards in this review that I looked at and was like, I'm not really sure what deck that's for or why it's here. What deck am I missing that these cards are having a huge impact in, and what's doing the best for you? I'm excited to be back and making content for you. Tomorrow I'll probably record a take on Historic Anthology 6, and then we'll do a Brushwag Pet Bundle review, followed by a Soul Ring Pet Bundle review, followed by a Shardalin Dragon Bundle review. Totally. That's what the channel is now. I'm just gonna review all the things you can absolutely light money on fire for on Magic Arena. It's gonna be great. Thank you for watching this video. It's so cool to be back. As always, I will see you in the next video, where I probably will review the Historic Anthology 6. You're cool.